People in that crowd knew who Bruce Lee was. The karate champion on stage had no idea. The event organizers didn't know either. The judges didn't know either. Out of the 500 people packed into the arena for the International Karate Championship Finals, almost no one noticed the quiet, small-built Chinese man sitting calmly in row 14. That was about to change. Within the next 8 minutes, a cocky karate star would experience the most sobering moment of his career, and everyone inside that arena would witness something they would talk about for the rest of their lives. Snorts, this all happened on March 20th, 1969. Long Beach, California, Long Beach Arena. Saturday afternoon, 3:45 p.m. The International Karate Championships were nearing their end. This wasn't just another tournament. It was the biggest karate event in the United States. Fighters had come from 12 different countries representing over 20 styles. Shokan, Goju Ryu, Wad Ryu, Kyokushin, Tang Sudo, Kinpo. Every major system had a presence. The stand were full, around 500 spectators, serious martial artists, students, masters, families. If you cared about karate, you were there. The energy in the building was intense. Sharp key shouts echoed across the floor. Judges called points in Japanese. The air was thick with sweat and muscle. Liniment. This was the Olympics of karate, and the heavyweight finals were moments away. Center stage, warming up, stood the clear favorite. His name was Michael the Destroyer Chun, not his birth name. He had changed it from his original Chinese name to something that sounded more American, more marketable. Michael was 28 years old, 6 feet 2 inches, 215 pounds of solid muscle. He had trained since the age of 6, 22 years of nonstop discipline, a fourth-degree black belt in Shodokan karate. He had won this very tournament 3 years in a row, 5 years undefeated, 47 straight victories. He wasn't just a champion, he was the champion of American karate, and he knew it. Confidence wasn't the issue. Ego was. Michael stood tall in the center of the stage, wearing a spotless white gi. His black belt was tied perfectly. Patches on his uniform proudly listed his dojo, rank, and accomplishments. As he stretched and threw warm-up punches, the sharp cracks of air snapping echoed through the arena. His technique was flawless. Classic Showdown. Deep stances, straight lines, explosive power. Everything by the book. The crowd watched with a mix of admiration and intimidation. He looked like a champion. He moved like one, and he clearly enjoyed reminding everyone of it. As tradition dictated, the tournament organizer handed him the microphone. Before the finals, the reigning champion was expected to speak to motivate, inspire, and set the tone. Michael took the mic. His voice filled the arena. Ladies and gentlemen, martial artists, fellow competitors, he began strong and commanding. I stand before you today as your 3-time champion, 47 consecutive wins, 5 years without a single loss. The crowd applauded, polite, expected. I have proven, he continued, that Shodokan karate is the superior martial art, that Japanese karate is the most effective fighting system in the world. A few people shifted in their seats. That was a bold statement. Martial arts politics were delicate. Different styles, different cultures, different philosophies. Michael wasn't done. I have faced every style. I have defeated every challenge, and I will continue to show the traditional Japanese karate cannot be beaten. The applause faded. Some disagreed, but he was the champion. He had earned his moment. Then he crossed a line. There's something that's been bothering me, he said. This recent trend of so-called kung fu, Chinese martial arts. The room tightened. These flashy movements, these unrealistic techniques. Let's be honest, kung fu isn't real fighting. It's performance. It's dance. It belongs in movies, not in real combat. In row 14, the quiet man shifted slightly. The martial artist sitting next to him leaned in and whispered, "Do you want to leave?" The small man shook his head and kept his eyes on the stage. Michael pressed on. "I challenge any kung fu practitioner, any Chinese martial artist to come up here and prove me wrong. Show me that kung fu actually works against real karate." The arena fell completely silent. This wasn't normal. Champions didn't issue open challenges like this. It was considered disrespectful, poor sportsmanship. But Michael's ego was now in full control. "I'll even make it easy," he added. "I won't go full contact. I just want to demonstrate that kung fu cannot compete with real fighting. That all these kung fu legends are nothing more than stories." He scanned the crowd. So he said, "Are there any kung fu masters here? Any brave Chinese martial artists willing to test their art?" No one moved. No one spoke. And Michael smiled, convinced the silence meant victory. "That's exactly what I thought," Michael said confidently. "All talk, no substance. Kung fu is I'll accept your challenge." The words didn't come from a stage. They came from row 14. The voice was calm and quiet, but it carried. The microphone picked it up, and suddenly everyone heard it. Michael froze mid-sentence and turned toward the sound. "Excuse me," he said. "I said," the voice repeated evenly, "I'll accept your challenge." A small man stood up in row 14. He wasn't wearing a uniform. No gi, no belt, no patches, just simple black pants and a black shirt. He looked like an ordinary spectator, not a fighter. The bright stage lights made it hard for Michael to see him clearly. "You practice kung fu?" Michael asked. "I practice Chinese martial arts," the man replied. "Yes. What style?" "Wing Chun and my own system, Jeet Kune Do." Michael had never heard of Jeet Kune Do. Wing Chun sounded familiar, some close-range Chinese style, but nothing he took seriously. "And your name?" Michael asked. "Bruce Lee." The name meant nothing to Michael. He lived in the karate tournament world. He didn't follow kung fu circles. He didn't watch Hong Kong action shows. He had never seen the Green Hornet. He had no idea that Bruce Lee was already well known in martial arts communities. But about 12 people in the audience didn't know that name. They all sat up straight. One of them was Dan Inosanto, Bruce's student and close friend, sitting right beside him. Dan leaned in and whispered urgently, "You don't have to do this." Bruce whispered back, calm as ever. He asked for a kung fu practitioner. "I'm answering." The words didn't come from the stage. They came from row 14. The voice was calm and quiet, but it carried. The microphone picked it up, and suddenly everyone heard it. Michael froze mid-sentence and turned toward the sound. "Excuse me," he said. "I said," the voice repeated evenly, "I'll accept your challenge." They all sat up straight. One of them was Dan Inosanto, Bruce's student and close friend, sitting right beside him. Dan leaned in and whispered urgently, "You don't have to do this." Bruce whispered back, calm as ever. He asked for a kung fu practitioner. "I'm answering." The words didn't come from the stage. They came from row 14. The voice was calm and quiet, but it carried. The microphone picked it up, and suddenly everyone heard it. Michael froze mid-sentence and turned toward the sound. "Excuse me," he said. "I said," the voice repeated evenly, "I'll accept your challenge." A small man stood up in row 14. He wasn't wearing a uniform, no gi, no belt, no patches, just simple black pants and a black shirt. He looked like an ordinary spectator, not a fighter. The bright stage lights made it hard for Michael to see him clearly. "You practice kung fu?" Michael asked. "I practice Chinese martial arts," the man replied. "Yes. What style?" "Wing Chun and my own system, Jeet Kune Do." Michael had never heard of Jeet Kune Do. Wing Chun sounded familiar, some close-range Chinese style, but nothing he took seriously. "And your name?" Michael asked. "Bruce Lee." The name meant nothing to Michael. He lived in the karate tournament world. He didn't follow kung fu circles. He didn't watch Hong Kong action shows. He had never seen the Green Hornet. He had no idea that Bruce Lee was already well known in martial arts communities. But about 12 people in the audience did know that name. They all sat up straight. One of them was Dan Inosanto, Bruce's student and close friend. Sitting right beside him, Dan leaned in and whispered urgently, "You don't have to do this." Bruce whispered back, calm as ever. He asked for a kung fu practitioner. "I'm answering." The words didn't come from the stage. They came from row 14. The voice was calm and quiet, but it carried. The microphone picked it up, and suddenly everyone heard it. Michael froze mid-sentence and turned toward the sound. "Excuse me," he said. "I said," the voice repeated evenly. "I'll accept your challenge." A small man stood up in row 14. He wasn't wearing a uniform. No gi, no belt, no patches. Just simple black pants and a black shirt. He looked like an ordinary spectator, not a fighter. The bright stage lights made it hard for Michael to see him clearly. "You practice kung fu?" Michael asked. "I practice Chinese martial arts," the man replied. "Yes." "What style?" "Wing Chun and my own system, Jeet Kune Do." Michael had never heard of Jeet Kune Do. Wing Chun sounded familiar, some close-range Chinese style, but nothing he took seriously. "And your name?" Michael asked. "Bruce Lee." The name meant nothing to Michael. He lived in the karate tournament world. He didn't follow kung fu circles. He didn't watch Hong Kong action shows. He had never seen the Green Hornet. He had no idea that Bruce Lee was already well known in martial arts communities. But about 12 people in the audience did know that name. They all sat up straight. One of them was Dan Inosanto, Bruce's student and close friend, sitting right beside him. Dan leaned in and whispered urgently, "You don't have to do this." Bruce whispered back, calm as ever. For a split second, Michael's balance is off. That's all Bruce needs. He steps forward into close range. Wing Chun range. His right hand shoots straight down the center line. A fast, direct strike, but it stops short, just inches from Michael's face. No contact, only air. But the message is unmistakable. That punch could have landed. It should have landed, and it would have landed if Bruce had wanted it to. Michael steps back, breathing harder now. Frustration is creeping in. This is not going the way he imagined. The small kung fu actor is making him look slow, making his perfect techniques look ineffective. His pride takes a hit. His ego takes a bigger one. He needs to land something. Michael drops back into a deeper stance, more committed this time. "Is that all you've got?" Bruce asks quietly, so softly that only Michael hears. "Or should we make this interesting?" Michael's face tightens. He explodes forward. Everything he has comes out at once. Punches, kicks, elbows, sweeps. The combinations that made him a champion. The techniques behind 5 undefeated years. 47 straight victories. Unleashed in a furious storm. Bruce moves through it like smoke. He slips. He angles off. He redirects. His hands touch Michael's attacks lightly. Just enough to change their path. Just enough to show control, not to hurt, not to punish, to demonstrate. "I can stop this anytime." The crowd is completely locked in. They came to see a karate final. Instead, they're witnessing something far beyond that. A different level. Entirely a different way of thinking, a different understanding of combat. After about 30 seconds of nonstop pressure, Bruce decides it's time to finish the lesson. Michael throws another attack, a high roundhouse kick aimed at Bruce's head. This time, Bruce doesn't move away. He steps in inside the arc of the kick where it has no power. His left Hand controls Michael's leg at the knee. At the same instant, his right hand shoots forward and stops 1 inch from Michael's throat, perfectly placed. One more inch, and Michael wouldn't be able to breathe. He wouldn't be able to continue. The fight is over. Bruce holds the position for 3 full seconds. Long enough for everyone to see. Long enough for Michael to understand. Long enough for the lesson to sink in. Then, Bruce releases, steps back, and gives him space. Michael stands there, chest rising and falling, sweat on his face. His ego in pieces. He has just been completely controlled by a man 75 pounds lighter. A man without a belt, without a rank. A man he dismissed as movie actor. Practicing fake martial arts. The arena is silent. 500 people have just watched the impossible. They've seen Kung Fu make karate look ineffective. They've seen a small man dominate a champion. They've seen movie techniques work in real combat. Everything they thought they knew about martial arts has been shaken. Ed Parker steps forward and picks up the microphone. "Gentlemen," he says, carefully choosing his words, "that was an excellent demonstration of two very different approaches to martial arts. Let's give both participants a round of applause." The crowd erupts. This isn't polite clapping. It's amazement. They know they've witnessed something rare. Michael bows stiffly. His pride is bruised, but his integrity is intact. He steps forward and extends his hand. "Underestimated you," he admits. Bruce shakes his hand. "You have excellent technique, excellent form, but technique alone isn't enough. You have to understand the principles, the concepts, the philosophy." Michael looks at him confused. "What do you mean?" "You're fighting the way you were taught. Following rules, kata patterns. But real combat has no rules, no fixed patterns." He pauses. "You have to be water." Michael has heard that phrase before. Be water. Bruce Lee's famous idea. He never truly understood it. Now he does. Your techniques are perfect for tournaments, for point fighting, for the system you trained in. But real fighting, real self-defense requires adaptation. You must flow. You must respond to what is, not what you practiced. The audience leans forward, trying to catch every word. Ed Parker makes a quick decision. "Mr. Lee," he says, "would you be willing to share more? Perhaps a short explanation, a demonstration." Bruce glances into the crowd at Dan Inicanto. Dan nods. "All right, I'll show you what I mean." For the next 15 minutes, Bruce Lee gives an impromptu demonstration. That changes the room. He explains Wing Chun principles, economy of motion, centerline theory, attacking and defending at the same time. He demonstrates Chio, sticking hands, training, showing how it builds sensitivity and reflexes faster than memorized forms. He explains Jeet Kune Do, his personal philosophy, using no way as way, having no limitation as limitation. He brings volunteers on stage, shows how rigid stances limit movement, how chambering strikes waste time, how following preset rules makes fighters predictable. Many of the karate practitioners in the audience feel uncomfortable. What Bruce is saying challenges everything they were taught, but they can't argue with what they just saw. It works. And standing quietly on the stage, listening and learning along with everyone else, is Michael. No longer the undisputed champion, but now a student. The arrogance was gone. In its place came humility, curiosity, a genuine desire to understand. When the demonstration ended, Bruce turned to the audience. "I'm not saying this to disrespect karate," he began. "Karate is a powerful martial art. It builds discipline, strength, and character. It has great value." The room was quiet. "But if your goal is to fight effectively," Bruce continued, "you must go beyond style, beyond systems, beyond tradition. You have to discover what works for you, your body, your abilities, and the situation you're in. He let that sink in. Practice techniques because they work against real opponents in real situations. No one spoke. Some people felt uncomfortable. Years of tradition had just been questioned. Lifetimes of training challenged. A few were angry, but many others felt something else. Curiosity, excitement. They had just seen a different path, a new way forward. Ed Parker thanked Bruce, and the demonstration officially ended. Bruce stepped off the stage and returned to his seat. Dan in assent was smiling from ear to ear. "That was incredible," Dan said. "I didn't mean to embarrass him." Bruce replied quietly. "But he challenged Kung Fu. He challenged me. He needed to understand." Dan chuckled. "Oh, trust me. He understands now." The tournament continued. The finals resumed. Michael went on to win his fourth straight championship. His karate was still sharp. His technique was still superior to his opponents. But something was different. The confidence was still there, but it was quieter, more grounded, more aware. Later that evening, after the arena had begun to empty, Michael found Bruce in the parking lot. "Mr. Lee," he said, "can we talk?" Bruce nodded. They sat on the hood of Bruce's car as the sun started to set. "I've been thinking about what you said," Michael admitted. "About being water, about adapting, and I want to learn. I want to understand what you showed today." He paused. "Will you teach me?" Bruce studied him carefully. He saw sincerity, humility, potential. "I don't take many students. My time is limited. I'm filming, teaching private clients, developing my system." "I understand," Michael said, "but I'm asking. Anyway, I'm willing to work, to learn, to start over if I have to." Bruce shook his head. "You don't need to start over. Your karate is excellent. Your foundation is strong. You just need to expand it to see beyond the system." Michael nodded. "Will you teach me?" "I'll give you a chance," Bruce said. "Come to my school in Los Angeles Saturday mornings. We'll see if you're serious." Michael showed up that Saturday and the next. For 2 years, he trained under Bruce Lee. He learned Wing Chun. He learned Jeet Kando. And just as importantly, he learned to let go of the limitations of rigid classical thinking. He continued competing, but his approach changed. His movement became freer, his understanding deeper. He remained a champion, but now he fought with adaptability, with flow like water. The 12 people in the audience who knew who Bruce Lee was that day told everyone what they had witnessed. Word spread. The karate world debated it endlessly. Some dismissed the story as exaggeration. Others called it sour grapes. But those who were there knew the truth. Many eventually found their way to Bruce's school, eager to learn, eager to understand. The 1969 International Karate Championships became legendary, not because of the finals, not because of the titles, but because of 8 unforgettable minutes. 8 minutes when an unknown actor made a champion look ordinary. 8 minutes when Kung Fu proved itself against karate. 8 minutes when Bruce Lee quietly announced that something new had arrived, something different, something revolutionary. Michael the Destroyer Chen retired from competition in 1971. He became an instructor teaching a blend of Wing Chun and Jeet Kune, honoring both where he came from and how he evolved. He often told his students about March 20th, 1969, the day his arrogance melted away, the day a champion became a student, the day Bruce Lee taught him that being the best in your system isn't the same as being the best. And the day he learned that the most dangerous opponent is the one you underestimate. 500 witnesses, 12 who knew, 1 who learned, and 1 who taught. March 20th, 1969, Long Beach Arena, the day Kung Fu earned respect, the day Bruce Lee stepped out of the audience and changed martial arts forever.